presentation. Like he said, we're going to continue talking about the gospel. We're going to talk this week about chapter 20, the gospel according to Spiritism. That is the workers of the last hour. Okay? And we can start by asking, who are the workers of the last hour? Who are the workers of this last hour? David, would you like to read? Since you're ready. Oh, sorry. So let's just pay attention to the parable. Like Jesus said, we want to.
Okay. This is Matthew 20, 1 through 16. It's the parable of the wedding feast. For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is a householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the third hour, and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I will give you. And they went their way again. He went out, and they went their way. Again he went out about the sixth hour, the sixth and ninth hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out, and found others standing idle, and saith unto them, Why stand ye here all the day idle? And they say unto him, Because no man hath hired us. He saith unto them, Go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall ye receive. So when even was come, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto his steward, Call the laborers, and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more. And they likewise received every man a penny. And when they had received it, they murmured against the good men of the house, saying, These last have wrought but 1 hour, and thou hast made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden and heat of the day. But he answered one of them, and said, Friend, I do thee no wrong. Didst not thou agree with me for a penny? Take that thine is, and go thy way. I will give unto his last, even as unto thee. It is not lawful for me to do what I will with mine own. Is thine eye is thine eye evil because I am good? So the last shall be first, and the first last. For many be called, but few chosen.
Thank you, David. So that's Matthew 20. Now, Jesus, he used to love to speak in parables, because these are stories and metaphors. And when we hear a story, we memorize a story much easier than we would if it wasn't in a story format. And Jesus knew that, obviously. And now, if we pay attention to the story, to the parable, we might think that's horrible work law, right? What do you mean? I worked more, we got the same pay. This is not right. But of course, Jesus was not talking about work laws. He was talking about the laws of God. And what Jesus is trying to say here is that no matter when we awaken to spirituality, to God, to the divine reality, we're going to get what? The same pay. Meaning, because we say that God loves us all the same, right? So he could not pay you more or I, because I haven't awakened to its reality before or after you or her. So, and plus, God is eternal, meaning there is no beginning, there is no end. So for God, there is no sense of time. we experience time because we are attached to matter. In order to experience space and time, we need to be focused and attached to matter. To God, it doesn't. God is not. Matter doesn't matter to God. So we're already ready for God. When He created us, we are already ready. But we are experiencing still our process of evolution. So the worker of the last hour has a right to his wages. Nevertheless, it is important that his lateness be not due to either laziness or reluctance, but to the fact that although willing to work, he had been patiently awaiting for someone to employ him. So Jesus is telling us here that our moment is going to come, right? Because we are going to awaken to the spirituality, to the spiritual reality. All of us will. But when David was talking about the arrogant, right? The learned in the first parable, he was talking about the learned. And those are people that have had the opportunity to experience knowing God, experiencing, detaching themselves solely from the material world and trying to understand the reality, the divine reality, and chose not to do it. And I ask, we might say, well, that's horrible. And I ask you, this is not the first time we live incarnated, is it? Our first lives? This is not our first life. We have had many, many lives. And I ask you, how have we done? And I ask you, have we had the opportunity to know God and we simply, what? Decided not to? Have we shut the door? And Constantine, the protecting spirit, he says, for how many centuries has the Lord called you to his vineyard without wishing you to enter it? Here is the moment to pocket your wages, so put to good use the time that is left, and never forget that your existence, however long it may appear to be, is nothing but a fleeting moment in the immensity of time which forms eternity. So the Spirit is telling us that our moment is now. Forget if we didn't grab the train when we had the opportunity. And remember that Jesus is the governor of this planet. So he is in charge of this planet, the spiritual evolution, the humanity attached to this planet, all these spirits attached to this planet, and we are part of these spirits. He is in charge of our evolution, our spiritual evolution, not his responsibility. Because whose responsibility my evolution, my spiritual evolution is mine, because we have free will. But we are what? Under his guidance. That's why the spirits called him our guide. And we have had many opportunities, endless opportunities, to follow him, to understand through Jesus, understand the mind of God. Try to understand. Of course, we're never going to become God, but we want to be closer to him. That is the proposition. And then we have had the opportunity through the philosophers, through many religious men, not only Jesus. If we think about human history, how many people came to teach us about God? In different countries, in different places. In a tribe, you have someone. Inside the tribe, isolated. In a place, in a little island in the Pacific, you have someone that is in charge of the spiritual teachings of the tribe. So God never abandons everyone. Its word, its reality is everywhere. Might be wrapped into different packages, but the essence is there, everywhere, for everyone. God is very democratic. And then we might say, well, but how do I do? Well, but some people don't have that. The Spirit didn't have the opportunity. All of us, we all had our opportunities. How are we created? All of us, we are created equal. Aren't we created equal? How are we created? You're trying to make up. This is a picture of artists, and they're nude. All the people are nude. They're all together to show how God created us all. It's a very beautiful. In his mind, it was a beautiful picture, and I put it on the back. It's because we are all created like that. We're all created simple. And then who has to fill out our vase? Ourselves, with what we chose to. So we are all given the same opportunity. No one had more opportunity to find God than the other. We're all the same. We're giving all the same opportunities. But we know, because of free will and our many lives and many experiences, some of us, we are accumulating knowledge and we are awakening for these realities, and we are what? Evolving, right? So we're going up. But then again, are all the spirits equal?
Are all spirits equal, or does there exist among them a hierarchy of ranks? They are different. They are of different degrees according to the degree of purification to which they have attained.
And then, okay, if there are different degrees, so what are we? What are we? And the spirits, they explain to us that we are exactly the workers of the last hour. Jesus is coming to an end, and part of his plan, his first plan, is coming to an end. And the spirits, they explain to us, and Kardec also explained to us. So we have the spirits, in Genesis, Kardec explains that there are different types of worlds and evolution. And when we say worlds, it doesn't really mean material worlds, because some different dimensions we're not able to see. But we have, for educational purposes, the spirits say, okay, so we'll do this, we'll play along with you so you can understand. So we have the first grade worlds, they are primitive worlds. Then we have the second grade, the trial and atonements. And then the third grade, the originating, and then I'm missing the fifth grade, the happy worlds, and then in the back, the celestial worlds. And then there are many divisions between them, all of them. And right now, we are right here in stage of evolution. We are in the second degree, the second grade. We are a planet of trial and atonements. But we're getting ready, we're in the process of transforming ourselves, of graduating from that, and going to a new vibration, a new higher, more elevated consciousness, and we're going to become a regenerating world. So why is Earth a planet of trials and atonements? Elias, you explained what expiation was last week. Do you remember your explanation? No. This is so good. I was counting that you remembered. So we're here still. We need to be proven. Those are the trials. We need to challenge our knowledge. We need to challenge the things we know in our faith. These are what? The trials. The atonements or expiations are when our conscience is what? Feeling guilty, right? Because we do have that. Our judge is an inner judge. God doesn't judge us. We have our inner judge. And when our inner judge is saying that we did not do okay, and we have to work what it has been done, and we have to work that energy, and we have to make it right again, then we choose to go through what? Atonements, expiation. we put ourselves through those situations. A lot of people say, why is God punishing me? God is not punishing you. First of all, you're doing it to yourself because your conscience is asking you as a spirit to go through that so you can get rid of that feeling that you have that you did something wrong. So you have to learn, but we suffer because it takes a while for us to understand what is going on, because once the lesson is learned, the energy changes, and then guess what? We don't need to go through that again. And then we know, because in life, and it seems very easy, right, when I talk here. And it should be, because the spirits, they tell us it is easy. But we know that aren't we sometimes in circle, like getting the same reaction, like in life from one part of our life, we keep getting that until we change. So if you change, and Einstein used to say what? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting what? Different results. So until we change our actions, we're not going to get different results. So when we finally decide to change our behavior and how we perceive and how we feel certain things in life, we're not going to be able to, what? Overcome our atonement of expiation. We go through that motion, and once we learn, and we'll get rid of it, and we'll go, what? To the next. So right now, we live in a planet that is mostly a planet of trials and atonements. And, well, I'm not going to get into that, but just there is a part of our brain that we get, and it has been shown that we get addicted to suffering. We can get addicted to make ourselves suffer because we cannot deal with our consciousness. We cannot deal with the guilt. So instead of understanding that the process is to work, see, that's the workers of last hour. It's not the people being punished of the last hour. It's the workers of last hour. So the movement of evolution is an active movement, because Jesus was himself is an active Jesus. The gospel is active. The gospel is something alive. So we have to ourselves to work on it. It has to be a very live and moving. It has to be a movement. I'm sorry, I can't really. But our amygdala is a very primitive part of our brain that is used to fear, is addicted to fear. So we have to get rid of that cycle, and we get rid of this cycle that is called the sequester of the amygdala, using our frontal lobe. And that is why the spirits, they tell us so much that knowledge is important, because we need to understand the laws of God. Because if we are stuck in a cycle of pain, it means that our amygdala is all the time capturing our emotions, making it hostage. Our emotions making it hostage. And we feel the pain, we feel in pain, and we cannot get rid of it. And we're stuck in a cycle. We feel bad about ourselves, we feel bad about other people. We have to learn how to get rid of this cycle. And because remember, the spirits that tell us we are not instinct anymore. We are what? We're evolving. We're not animals. We're humans now. And we're going up. And so we have to learn how to use our frontal lobe. When the spirits, they say you have to learn how to control your emotions. That's what they're saying. We have to use what we know and learn. So rational thoughts break the system. The instinct system of us being afraid and us punishing ourselves when the movement has to be outward. I have to work and helping the other. That's what Jesus said. That's how he taught us. How are we going to work our problems? How are we going to evolve? How are we going to learn? How are we going to get closer to God? Helping your brothers and your sisters. Because that's the outward movement. And then you learn how to work what? Inside. So I did not trust that Elias would know, so I did bring that.
Good call.
All right, so just So we understand why we're a planet of atonements, like the spirits they told us. Who wants to read besides David? No? Any?
Earth is a planet of trial and atonements. Intelligence present in the majority of spirits. Innate qualities, virtues, show previous progress. High number of still existent imperfections or vices.
Okay, so we have all of those, right? So we have intelligence present in the majority of the spirits. I know sometimes we don't feel like we come across people that we don't, but it is. Innate qualities, virtues show previous progress, yes. And high number of still existent imperfections or vices, unfortunately, yes. And then, but I ask you, where are we now? And the spirits, they tell us we're in the transitional period. We're going from one type of world to the next. And the gospel, according to the spirits in chapter 13, they tell us
the time has now been reached for one of these periodic transformations, which will move the earth upwards from a world of atonement to that of a regenerating planet where men will be happy because God's laws will reign.
So they're saying that, the spirits are saying that we are getting better. And sometimes when we watch the news, when we see, right, certain people behave, we might not think, we say what we have been saying as humanity for thousands and thousands of years. The world is getting worse every time. The young people, how are the young people are going to take over this world? They don't care. They don't want to do. They don't want to do. They don't want to do anything. So, but it has been like that, always like that. But it is. The world is getting better. And they tell us the sign of the times. It is.
The generation which is being educated has drunk at a pure spring. It has healthier ideas, will push the world upward morally.
So they're saying that our children, they're better than us, that they are going to push the world upwards. So our children are better.
Those who return evil for evil, and in whom the desire to do right is not felt, being unworthy of transformed state of earth, will be banished from it.
So what they're saying is, the spirits, they tell us that because that's the physics. That's just physics. So if you're in vibration, it doesn't mean that person is going to hell, nothing like that. It's just different. We're going to be in different vibrations. So if the world as a whole, Earth as a whole, is changing its vibration to higher, we're going upward. So the people, all the humans that do not, the spirits that do not move forward with the rest of humanity will stay behind, vibration-wise. Doesn't mean that they're going to be punished. They're just going to go to the grade that they need, to the school that they need, to the hospital that they need.
The regeneration of humanity does not absolutely require the complete renewal of the spirits. A small modification of their moral disposition will suffice.
So they're saying, well, in order for us to stay in this vibration, this new vibration, we don't have to be saints. And if we did, well, we're all lost, huh? We don't have to be saints. But we do have to have the motivation of what? Of being better. Wanting to be, look how much there is. Just, if you want to be better, that will suffice. Do you want to be a better person? That will suffice. Again, which are the signs that tell us the Earth is changing to a regenerating planet category? It is. Please.
Opening of social protection and charitable institutions.
More than ever, we see so many charitable organizations, right? 100 years ago, that was almost nothing. There were churches, and that is it. And today, there is an organization for a nonprofit for every single cause you can imagine. There's a group of people fighting for it. For a little
opening organization.
Huh?
They're kids opening.
Kids, exactly. And they're oh my God, yes, they're teaching whole communities. So we have that going on right now.
Penal laws impregnated with human kindness.
There are many countries there is no death penalty anymore. And like here in the U.S., death penalty has been questioned. And we also worry about torture, right? Unusual punishment, cruel and unusual punishment. And even when you're going to kill someone, there are laws that you have to follow, strict rules and procedures you have to follow. So this is all progress. Remember, 100 years, 50 years ago, well, in some countries, we know that in some countries they still exist, but that's not yet the majority. We see that it's going, people are becoming more aware.
Weakening of prejudice and racism.
And then you might say, well, there's still prejudice, there's still racism. We know there is. But then we're talking about it. We know this is bad. Before, it was okay. And even the churches, they would go along with some of it, right? So now, no. We know it's bad. We're working on the feelings, the sentiments, but we know it's bad.
Fallen of barriers that divide the nations.
What is one thing that did this all along by itself? The internet. The internet just does not care about barriers, right? Language. The internet is everywhere.
The repulsion of materialistic ideas.
We're still very material because, first of all, we still need to survive, but we understand, we're starting to understand as humanity that we also need a spiritual life, the holistic approach, that we're not only material, that we're spiritual beings, that we need this kind of fulfillment, spiritual fulfillment.
Strong efforts to protect nature.
And we see that a lot. So don't we see all these signs? Remember, this was said in 1868, okay? They said when we start seeing these signs, it's happening. Transition is happening.
What is the best way of ensuring one's own moral improvement in the present life and resisting the attraction of evil?
So we all want to be with everyone, right? We don't want to stay behind. No spirit is ever going to be left behind, so don't worry about it. But we want to go now, right? Because we're already the last hour workers, right? We want to stay with Jesus and continue with Him, progressing. But what do we need to do in order to do that?
Know thyself.
It's know thyself. And I can be talking here all night and tomorrow, and we can be talking about philosophy and religions. But the most important thing to do that we have to do is understand and look inside ourselves and learn about ourselves so we can make our changes. So that's all I had to say to you tonight. Thank you for the patience to listen.